in, everybody. Whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world, this is Coast to Coast. And, of course, I'm here with the Philly sports guy, Stat Guy. How you doing, gentlemen?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing a lot better than the receivers on Tampa Bay right now.
Oof, man, Andrew's hamstring, not that bad. Godwin's ankle, oof, man, that was rough looking. Made sense that the broadcast didn't want to, show that replay.
Godwin's ankle looks great right now.
They were saying that it's a dislocation, though.
Oh, it's not a dislocation. It is a full-on dislocation and fracture.
I was going to say it has to be broken to be pointing the wrong direction.
Yeah, he is. He's done. He's having surgery today. He's done.
Yeah.
Done for this year at least.
Yeah, he's done for a while.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean you can come back from that for sure, but it's
going to take a minute.
It definitely is. Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully they feel a little bit better. The hamstring looked more like a Charlie horse to me.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way that it was, and I know that it's hot down there, and I can imagine that they are just the way that tackle happened. You can kind of see where it occurred, because the guy just kind of had slid down on him. Made me wonder if that was what their rendition of a hip tackle was.
No, because he didn't swing out, right? Like he just kind of slid down the body. That wasn't like swinging out and dropping your body on him. So
Right.
I think he's probably going to be okay as far as fines are concerned.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. It didn't look like it was something that was going to pull the hamstring. It looked like it was probably cramping or something.
So, and I feel like I got to talk about this a little bit because I wonder now, about something, because this is going to actually be relevant. A couple of weeks ago, Saquon Barkley, he just got the fine of $46,000 for lowering his head on a defensive player. Last night, you saw a defensive player lower his head and smack, Jackson in the jaw.
Yeah.
Now, there wasn't a flag on it because he was a runner and he has protections. The defensive guy has protections on that because he's a runner. So they wasn't going to be able to hold the flag. However, do you see that guy getting fined?
I mean, the way the NFL is, sure, right? Because now that this is a $14,000 fine for signaling a first down.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 different guys have been nailed with it. Somehow Mahomes wasn't for doing the exact same thing. So,
he's the poster child.
But yeah, so 3 different players that I know of have been fined, and that the first run through, I believe, was $14K.
You know what? That's going to wind up all of these fines that they're talking about like that are going to wind up going to the Players Association. I bet you they refund all of that money.
No, I mean, so from what I understand, the fines do go.
No. I know the fines go to charities and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that they are going to have to refund those fines because they're not going to be able to listen. They have been doing this for. I mean, the NFL's been in existence for 102 years now. And they've been going first down. I mean, I do it every time the Eagles make a first down.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You know what I mean? And sometimes I'm pointing, not just putting my hand out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's what it is. They're saying, okay, we're not going to be
finger guns.
Yeah. Get the frig out of here. I mean, really? Really?
Yeah.
Man, listen, we can't act like we're going to shoot anybody. Come on. Shut up.
Yep.
And that's and see, this is why. I mean, we're having a show here tonight in my living room, vetted with Irving Fryer and Hollis Thomas, and I'm going to ask Hollis. I've said, listen, you should get John Runyon on this show, and he should have to explain what these things are about. Why are these fines occurring? Because it's ridiculous now. It's ridiculous, and ultimately, like I said, it's going to wind up creating a big riff because the one thing that could stop this whole show in a realistic sense is a strike.
Sure.
Players striking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Typing a whole dissertation over there.
Right? Like, what are you doing over there?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just got a long email from
sounds like you were
something
just writing a long email.
I was, because it was like a lot of numbers and a lot of confusing things, and I had no idea what I was doing.
I thought you were, writing a dissertation on the birth of Christ. She's just like,
You do realize I'm a writer, don't you?
I do understand that you're a writer.
So
You know,
nothing is short for me. Like, I get an email that is one sentence as long and they want my response, I send 3 paragraphs back. That's my response.
Thank God you could type 16 words a minute.
16, try like 67, 68.
I was making a joke. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I could type 16 words a day.
that's right. How's it go, Win? Yeah. No,
That's why I'm so happy for copy and paste.
That works sometimes, not all the time.
It does when I have to type out the most amount of stuff that I have to type, which is, hey, I got to write that blurb out every day. It doesn't allow me to do anything else except like write it out. So I have to copy and paste it. It makes it much easier. That's a lot faster. For me to type out Coast to Coast Sports Show takes me a lot.
Fair point.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I would say other than that, I mean, the Ravens look,
Yeah,
Derrick
good right
Henry.
now.
Derrick Henry.
The dude is a monster.
Can we safely say that is the offseason pickup of the year for what he's done to that team and just kind of how he's transformed that offense since he's gotten there? Because this is not an offense anymore that's scoring 26, 27 points per game. It is 30 plus points and just complete bludgeoning just because he's running for 160, 170, 180. You still have to take into account Lamar Jackson can do the same thing, but now Lamar Jackson's throwing for over 300 yards.
Mm-hmm. When this actually is AI stat guy, he's still in his car. Anytime you see him in his house, it's fake. How's it going, Joe?
So, hey, Joe, congratulations. Your Cowboys didn't lose this week.
They didn't. How about that? No one got fired on their day off. It was a good week.
I mean, you could say they lost on that point, though, because I'm pretty sure at this point everyone wants Mike McCarthy fired, especially when you hear who is linked to possibly getting the Cowboys job next year once they do move on from him.
Who's that?
Ben Johnson.
Wasn't he a runner in Canada who wound up taking steroids?
I don't know. He's the Lions offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's only 32 years old, so I don't even know if he's even played football at all at any point.
No, he was just really good at Madden.
Probably.
Hey, that's all you need. Don't even get off that first row. Those first 3 plays, good to go.
Halfback dive, halfback pitch.
That's right. 3rd down, everybody go.
Run a screen.
Yeah, pretty soon we're going to have that. We're going to have the Madden Invitational. Soon.
Yeah, no,
it's going to be a tough list. It's going to be a tough list to get it. Like you're going to need more than a tomahawk steak to get in to this one.
I mean, I feel like it's gonna look a lot like the Chargers-Cardinals game from last night. It's gonna be some of the worst football ever, and I imagine we're gonna be some of the worst Madden players.
Yeah, it depends. Do I get to make up my own team, or do we have to use an existing team?
I mean, I feel like you just use your team, right?
Okay, so that'd be the Eagles. You'd be Seattle. He'd be the Vikings.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they're all decent-ish teams.
Where is the defense that triple covers Jefferson? Because that's the only thing that he would wind up throwing it to. I could actually,
I would not actually be throwing to him as much as you think.
Well, you ain't running the ball that much.
You can run cover 5 if you want to do the triple coverage on Jefferson. You can run cover 5 with a single high safety over the top.
Yeah, Hawkinson ain't going to beat me.
I'll throw to Jordan Addison.
Yeah. Except Jordan Addison's only a 60 on Madden.
Only a
'Cause nobody-
60?
Yeah, because nobody knows who he was.
Yeah, I was gonna say someone's on drugs if they're only rating him a 60.
So he'll rating will be better next year. This year he sucks.
He led all rookies in touchdowns last year. How the hell is he only a 60?
I don't know.
But it's when you're a rookie, like, 70s is as high as they'll rate you.
Seriously? Even like when you were like the number 1 overall pick, you only get rated a 70?
Yeah, they're like a 70,
Oh.
74. Like Madden does rookies dirty.
Yeah, you have to
If
be a
you've been in-
veteran for a couple years.
Exactly. If you've been in the league a long time, they give you some bumps in the points. It's the most ridiculous rating system ever.
That's why I
So
don't ever pay attention to Madden rankings. That's why I always find it funny when the athletes find out what Madden ranks them, and then they get so salty about it. I'm like, why?
Well, that's why they get salty about it, is because it's ridiculous and it's just whatever they want it to be. It's like they have that 100-sided dice and they're just like, okay, and you are a 72.
Pegs, you are a 91.
Exactly.
yeah.
Hey,
Here we
McLovin,
go.
you are a 44.
That is kind of how it seems like sometimes, but whatever.
G McLovin speed factor's a 30.
Speed, that's like -3.
I don't think you can go that low. I think I'm mad and the lowest is 30 or 35. They give the offensive linemen are always in like the 40s for speed. I don't think you can go much lower than that.
I mean, to be fair, some of them big guys are kind of quick.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean Kelsey would have at least had to have a 60 in the speed
I
department.
think Penny Sewell in Detroit's like a 71 for speed. Like I can move a little bit.
I mean, that's solid for a lineman.
I agree. But anyways, so what's it tonight? Does it tonight it start or a couple days from now? The
What's that?
World Series.
I think it starts
begins.
tonight.
Oh, I thought it was tonight.
I don't think it's tonight. I didn't see anything for tonight. I thought it was Wednesday.
Is it Wednesday?
I think so.
Okay.
Surprised it's not like Friday.
No, Friday. It does start Friday.
Hmm.
So all of this waiting around to find out. Are you going to watch?
I mean, so the thing that's funny is, even though I want both these teams to lose, you can't beat playoff baseball.
You can't. Yeah.
Playoff sports, right? Just in general, like even if you're not a huge hockey fan or basketball fan or what, like playoff sports is always kind of that next level. It's always fun to watch, probably because all the games matter,
Mhm.
right? When you're looking at things like baseball, right? 162 games. You know how many of those matter? Very few, right? Like if you miss an entire month of baseball, it doesn't matter. But as soon as you get into the playoffs, every game's important. And I think that's probably why I tune in more during the playoffs of all the sports, is for that reason. Like each game is like, oh, okay, this game actually like means something, as opposed to, oh, this is just one of the 50 games I'm allowed to lose that doesn't matter.
Hey, and nothing was more true this year. Each team wins 60, each team loses 60. It's the other 42 that make the biggest difference.
That's right.
Mhm.
So, and this year it was absolutely specific like that. Nobody had 100 wins.
In 7. Okay.
I think that was the first time they said in like 13 years that nobody won 100 games this year. It's been a long time since nobody's won 100 games.
And there really should have been 2 or 3 teams that did it, but they all went on losing streaks. The Yankees started off horrible,
Yeah.
and brought it on late. The Dodgers had a losing streak for a while.
And you guys started off like so ridiculously hot, but then you guys got just the injury bug hit you massively at the end of June into July, and then you were kind of playing 500 ball for like a month, even under 500 baseball for about a month, and then you started
Yeah.
turning things on again the last couple of weeks.
So
I think most people are kind of here and it has a lot to do with that Dodgers payroll. Like
Actually, the Mets had the largest payroll this year, just so that you know.
Yeah.
Dodgers is number 2, Yankees are number
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
The Phillies were number 4, I believe. So it's like, literally, it was ridiculous in terms of the payrolls and such like that. I am going to.
But it can be if Pepsi wants to step up. Mostly, I had it because I had something leaning against it for a different show.
I am actually going to go more with Frankie on this one, and I prefer out of these two teams that the Yankees win.
Yeah,
Me
like,
too.
yeah,
too.
this World Series I'm gonna watch. I think a lot more than the most recent ones, just because you can make the case that the two best players. Realistically, you could make the case that the 3 best players in baseball are in this World Series.
4.
Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Shohei. I don't put Mookie in that category. I put other people ahead of Mookie. But
Who do you put above Mookie?
I put Bobby Witt Jr. ahead of Mookie, just because of what Bobby Witt Jr. can do on the bases. Like Mookie Betts, he's a great offensive player and he's a very versatile defensive player, but I think Bobby Witt Jr. is a better overall player than Mookie Betts is. So I would put Bobby Witt Jr. ahead of Mookie Betts, but I would still have Mookie in like the top 6. But obviously the top 3 players are Soto, Judge, and Shohei, and they're all in
This is exactly what MLB wanted.
Yeah.
Right. Like
100% they wanted this.
This is exactly the matchup they wanted to have on TV, and they're hoping that Frankie is right, that it goes 7, because then you get every last advertising dollar possible.
Well, I hate to say it because there's so many cases where people think that refs fix games in the NBA, fix games in the NFL, and things like that. This could be one of those situations where umpires try to fix it to make it go 7 games based on like a tighter strike zone for somebody than another team to make a team like more offensively minded, calling differently for certain.
Hernandez coming out of retirement.
It's not even that really. I kind of feel that this is what happened last year that both wound up dealing with. The strike zone shrunk for the Phillies, for the Phillies pitchers, and expanded for Arizona, and the same thing happened with Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately they wanted the rematch.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted, although they didn't care really on the western side. They didn't care if it was Texas or Houston.
Yeah.
Either one would have been good because Houston and Dallas are similar in media size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they wanted the Phillies in it.
Sure.
And the Phillies blew it. Like they only did it for games 3 and 4. Yeah, and you watch how those games got called, and it happened in the 5th inning because the Phillies took the lead, and all of a sudden the Diamondbacks zone expanded, and they were throwing him on the outside. It was outside of the box all the time. But
Frankie, I think the fact that they've been making terrible calls for years makes it easier for them to fix a game now because you wouldn't know the difference.
So
I will say that I think this will be, because I believe the Cubs and Guardians are the most watched World Series since like 1990 because of just the history side of things that was behind it. But I will say that this is probably going to be the most watched World Series
of all time.
Yeah, close. If it's not the most watched all time, it's going to be close. The only one I think
it'll be top 5 for sure.
Yeah, the only one that I think the only one I think might be more watched was the Subway Series back in 2001 when it was Roger Clemens, Mike Piazza, and then back in 2001, I think that one's still the most watched all time, and I think that one will stay up there. But this one will be like really close. I think this one will pass the Cubs and Guardians up and go into that number 2 spot.
I actually think that the numbers on this could rival a local. When I say locally, I mean in the United States, Super Bowl.
Yeah, I can see that.
Super Bowl numbers,
especially with the World Series starting on Friday. That's literally going to be really the NBA starting up on Friday, but
Yeah,
it
nobody
starts-
cares about that.
Starts tonight, but nobody really cares about the NBA until we get February, anyways.
The
But, like,
only thing that people are watching for this week is the LeBron and Bronny start together, and then it's going to have Griffey Jr. and Griffey Sr. in the stands for it.
Yep.
Right.
Well,
Like
like-
that's their main hype up thing.
Mhm.
And outside of that, nobody cares. Because
No, but, like-
this is again a sport that you can lose half of the season and you're still going to get in because like half the league gets in the playoffs regardless.
And the thing is, too, when you look at how college football's gone this year, like they've had Friday night games every week since week 2, and there's only been one week where they didn't have a Friday night game. But usually there's been like one really good Friday night college football game on. There's not even a good college football game this Friday because they know that it's not going to be viewed like the World Series. So they're just like, you know what, screw it. We'll just put the crappy games on Friday this week and let the World Series have their showcase. And then Sunday's obviously the day off for the World Series, which is the NFL day. So the NFL gets to stage that day.
Well, that's done 100% purposely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Frankie, this is all just marketing. That's all it is. Because it doesn't matter if they lose this first game. It just has to do with the TV, channels are going to be there. They want to see the post-game presser of them playing together the first time. And like, it has nothing to do with the basketball game that they're probably going to lose because of it.
Frankie's in a good mood today. Don't get him upset now.
No. That's the goal. That's what we do on this show. That's how we keep them coming back, is we just make everybody mad the whole time. I like this. Just generically don't like the NBA.
I'm a freaking Bulls fan. I haven't liked the NBA for damn years.
Well, and I'm not a big fan of just the way that the NBA runs its business.
Yeah, I enjoyed it more, when we had a team. Bastards.
You're getting another one very soon. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, so it sounds like with the way everything would go, we would get them back for 27.
Yeah, because that the CBA expires, I believe.
Yeah, and the new
26.
TV contract will be in place, and so it sounds like 27 will pretty much be the deal. And so it sounds like it's us and Vegas. That
Yep.
sounds like that's pretty much almost a done deal at this
And
point.
if that's the case, then it looks like Minnesota is going to go from the west to the east because both Seattle and Vegas will have to go out west.
Then you'll have 32 teams, right?
So you have 16 and 16.
Yeah.
So Seattle, Vegas go out west, and then Minnesota will just go from the west to the east.
So do they
that-
expand the playoffs yet again? I mean, they
No,
already,
but
have, they already
would-
have so many teams that
it would stay the way it is. That's ultimately, and not a lot of people realize this. A lot of people thought it was just for the money and just for the viewership. But the reason why they went to that play-in tournament a couple of years ago was because they knew they were expanding to 32 teams. And ultimately, that's why they went with the play-in, because now you have more teams. It's technically your expanded field because now you have those 7 through 10 seeds battling to get into the regular field. So they're not going to expand it any more than what they did. This was kind of their way of saying, hey, NBA is expanding at some point. This is what the playoffs are going to look like when that day comes.
I think they saw what happened with the 65th through 68th seeds in the NCAA tournament and says, "Ooh, what a great idea."
What a great idea. Oh, maybe not.
Just the same way with the. I am going to give an odds-on favorite this year to the Sixers on winning the in-season tournament.
okay.
That's not bad, though.
I think that that's actually going to happen because and then we could have up one of those weirdo banners that says, "Yeah, we won nothing.
Right.
We won $500,000. Woo-wee!"
Let's go.
Is it something
You
that
doing,
nobody
you
cares
doing
about?
November this year?
No, this will be gone by then. Yeah, I'm already getting a little tired of it. It's past my birthday now, and it's like the Phillies are out of the playoffs. Like I would have done this. Like this comes out for April 1st. It starts again for hockey, and I will let it grow out for hockey season. And I wouldn't mind it being down to here, like for hockey season, like getting that whole little,
Okay. All right.
getting some
Got
growth in there. But yeah,
doing the garden gnome. I got you.
yeah, this is not going to happen. Yeah, much longer. I'm ready to take it off.
Yeah, I have a Halloween party. I haven't figured out exactly what I'm going as, but I'll probably go since this is the first year of the fully shaved head. I'm probably going to go as some sort of villain, right? Just seems right. But most of them are clean shaven, so I might actually lop all this stuff off for that. So you might actually see me clean shaven for once.
Like Lex Luthor?
Probably, yeah. Probably do Lex because it'll be so easy.
I'm trying to think of a villain that does have the Fu Manchu.
Well, I could leave it if I wanted to be Bane, right? Because he's got the crab over his face.
Yeah, he does.
But yeah, I'd probably do Lex just because, again, all I got to do is put on a suit essentially. So
yeah, but nobody will get it.
Well, that depends on if my wife goes as like Catwoman or something.
Oh no, she would have to be Superwoman, wouldn't she not?
Well, yeah. Well, actually, you know what? I think she even has that costume already, so that works out.
I don't want to know what happens inside your bedroom.
But you might. It's on OnlyFans. Don't worry about it. Okay. How do you think
that's how you pay for the show.
There you go. That's actually not so bad. You could be Charles Xavier.
Yeah, I could. Yeah.
In a wheelchair. Be like, yeah, I'm thinking I'm thinking about my wife, riding me on this.
Man.
So I am actually, I'm just to let everybody know,
Appreciate
I'm going to be a judge this Thursday. So in 2 days for the Jason Kelsey lookalike contest.
Now that would be something so entertaining to watch. It would be amazing.
That is awesome. I love that.
Right. Man.
So,
it's a good day. It's a good day.
Yeah. And talking about our head up our asses, this is a good time to talk about True Fusion Gym.
It totally is. We're here. We will kick that thing off right here in the Pacific Northwest. Use that QR code on the screen. Free 5-day pass at any of the 3 locations, whether it's Bellevue, Ballard, or University Village. Pilates, bootcamp, yoga, bar, hot rooms, and more. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym. And of course, if you are into sports betting, you can do it right alongside us here on Coast to Coast. By using the QR code on the screen, get up to 125% of your first 3 deposits. And of course, a 10% guarantee if you happen to lose. Like a good buddy of mine says, bet with your head and never over it. All right. Okay. So Tua officially coming back, right? And he takes his first presser. And of course, he comes out. And
he's a fucking moron. I'm just gonna say that now. He's a fucking moron.
Well, at least you're not mad about it.
Like,
all right, here we go.
Oh my god.
Are you gonna play? There we go.
Nope. Would you wear a Guardian hat? Nope. Why? Personal choice. Are you will this change your style of play, your decisions to scramble or run or things like that?
It's got to be smart. That's it. It's got to be smart. My entire time playing football, I've been a competitor, and that, is or was sort of my edge when I would run from high school, even in college. I would do the same thing. But it's a professional, setting. This is the professional level, the best of the best. You just can't be doing that. So definitely got to we got to stay more available for the team, for the organization, for our guys.
What
So,
So he literally contradicted himself in his first two answers.
yeah, right.
You're
Like,
gonna wear the
he has to
Guardian,
be smart.
but I'm not gonna wear the Guardian cap because it's a personal choice.
Yeah, but then he says he has to be smarter. Except we haven't seen him be smarter his entire career yet.
His brains are scrambled. He doesn't know what being smart means.
So, I mean, the one thing I'm a little surprised on is that the league didn't sort of dictate him having to wear it.
They still could, just because he says he's not going to wear one. They
Well,
still could step in and be like, "You have to."
It makes me wonder if there's something.
This is a new rule that will come out with the new players, the NFLPA agreement.
Well, that's the thing is I wonder if there's something in the NFLPA as it's
Not
currently
yet.
constructed
I
Not
think
yet.
that allows them to not have to wear it. Right?
in the way the rules the way the rule is written right now, it says they do not have to wear one, but there's also a disclaimer in that rule that says
Mhm.
a doctor can step in and say you need to wear one. And if that happens, then the league can force you to wear one.
So that's the thing. And I think that's where this is going to have the biggest problem is most of the data that comes out is all years later. It either is, health issues, things like dementia and ALS and, stuff like that can stem from it, or CTE that they find out after you pass away, right? There's not a lot of data that shows current time. And so to medically keep him from playing or anything like that is hard to do the way that the testing currently happens. So that's where it almost has to be like, if you've hit a certain number of them, then they can tell you have to wear it if you're going to continue playing or something like that. But yeah, I mean, as it's currently constructed, there must be a way for him to be able to do this without the league being like, hey, if you're going to keep playing, you have to do this.
And you can bet damn well that every game that he plays from here on out, anytime he gets knocked to the ground and you see his head go back, they're going to pull him off the field immediately and give him the concussion test. It's not even going to be a matter if he stands back up and goes back to the huddle. Like anytime his head hits the ground, I guarantee they're going to be like, nope, you got to come in a tent.
Yeah, I don't think
I
it's
don't
gonna
know
be that.
that's going to happen like that.
Yeah, I don't.
This
I
is
don't think
this
it
is
would.
the truth of the matter is that he said something to me in that contest that you did not, or that conference that you did not play here. But-
That's the only clip I had.
Yeah, that he said that I'm going to play to the death of me. And
I didn't hear that part.
oh yeah, he said that out loud. I saw that on television. They actually mentioned it on TV, where I said, I'm like, he said that out loud, and that's like manifesting yourself. That's like, and I'm not wishing the guy death or anything. You know what I mean?
I
But
mean, a couple more headshots, he might freaking die on the field as it is.
I'm just saying that we don't know. It could be one more. And you want to talk about, something that would become very crazy if that's, because it would go that way immediately. Like that would be like, okay, the world is stopping now. Because like I said, obviously it's not Damar Hamlin. That was a freak type of situation.
Yeah, I
This
mean, that
is
was just a
something that
routine
they
hit.
would know. They know about. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think that I don't know that it's. I mean, I feel like that the NFL is allowing him to do all of this specifically because they want to see. They want to see what's going to happen.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. So the foam in the helmet wouldn't matter a whole lot there. That's where the Guardian cap comes in because it applies to some of the outside. But the way the new helmets are constructed,
You would have a new helmet with you.
of course I do. These are actually reliefs that help with some of the impact. That's why there's so many different variations of them. And these are all just impact crush zones, and it allows them to absorb more impact than they used to be able to, soften the blow of the hits. So putting extra foam inside wouldn't really matter, but that's where the Guardian cap is the thing, is because it's essentially just a foam outer layer over the top, and then a really ugly, cover over it to give you the team colors.
And I was wondering if maybe they should have him wear like a Bosworth.
Out there with a neck roll.
I'm dead serious.
Well,
I'm not mad
Like
at it.
something
No,
that
I
would
know
be
what they
heavy
should
in the back.
They should just have him wear a red jersey.
I mean, I feel like we're not too many years away from that being a thing anyway.
Wear a red jersey, and the only way that he's down is if you touch him. Once you touch him, the play's dead.
The quarterbacks will have a red jersey and flags. I think it's at that point that if they were to do something like that, that viewership plummets.
Well,
I think that's where people be like, okay, this is dumb.
Actually, I kind of think that they're never going to do the red.
No, of course not.
That's never going to
Of course
occur.
not.
I mean, realistically, I wouldn't be surprised about them requiring him to put on the back thing. Just because it's going to add that extra padding, and if it was up high enough, there would never be a point unless somebody pile drived him on. There was. So
Well, the last one was his fault, though.
So I have to imagine that players themselves are going to be a little protective of him. And
Sure.
I'm talking about defensive players now. Like, I'm not talking about guys on his own team. I'm talking about guys outside here. And there was, and I used to hear this all the time, as Joe Namath got older, and I know we're talking about 50 years ago now, when Joe Namath got older and his legs were bad, that when they sacked him, they were careful about the way they sacked him because they knew that he was, a superstar. And it wasn't like they gave penalties or anything. They just were protective of
Sure.
that. Now, is everybody going to be protective? No. Is somebody going to try to make their name and be the guy that knocks him out of football? Maybe. You know what I mean? But I think that that's a lot less a possibility than it is where they're going to protect him, because they don't want anybody mandating that they have to wear these things. And imagine if you get any concussion whatsoever, now you're mandated to wear that for 6 weeks. That's what this is going to turn into. Not only are you going through concussion protocol and you have to get out of concussion protocol, you're now mandated to wear the Q-tip top for 6 weeks.
So I don't know if they'd want to do that. And the only reason I say that is it would really show you how many concussions there were across the league every week. Like, I don't know if they'd want to go that route.
Yeah, but they don't put everybody in concussion protocol.
True.
Well, yeah, some people don't go into protocol.
So you have to get into the protocol to have this happen. You have to have a concussion. You have to be announced as a concussion.
Sure.
And once you're announced as a concussion, you fall into that category. If you do not get out of concussion protocol right away, like, hey, we think you may have a concussion. You go into the protocol, you come out of the protocol, and you're back in that game. If you are out for the remainder of that game for a concussion, and you have to go through a second protocol to get challenged out, you're then stuck wearing the Q-tip for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the way it'll go. Maybe even longer. It might be 8 weeks. Because, again, they have nothing to go off of here.
Well, that's the problem, right? Is they got to try and fix a problem that doesn't really show up until later. So that's a hard situation to be in.
So, did he? I don't know. Did he? I mean, it's possible that anybody could have concussions. I'd be willing to bet that there's maybe minor concussions on every football play.
Sure. Absolutely.
So I don't think that it's anything ridiculous to say that that's the case. I'd be willing to bet that it's even, more likely.
I mean, you're running full blast into each other. Like the odds are high.
So, like I said, there is no way of being able to tell this because this is all new.
Yeah.
So, and I'm surprised that they haven't figured out a way to that these helmets are able to stop these from happening.
Well, I mean, the helmet's only going to do so much though, because your brain kind of floats around in there a little bit. So the concussion is more of your brain colliding with your skull, which is why you get them in collision sports, car wrecks, stuff like that, right? I mean,
Right.
Even though you have airbags, a lot of times you end up with a concussion in a car wreck because it's not necessarily the impact into something as the brain smashing against your forehead.
No, I get it. And it's like, how bad does a brain bruise? How bad is it? Because you don't feel any pain on your brain.
I mean,
You might get a headache.
how bad is a brain bruise? Ask Antonio Brown when Vontaze burst it, almost took his head off. And look at how Antonio Brown has gone after that hit, because since that hit, Antonio Brown has not been a normal human being.
For sure. But at the same time, there's no data currently that can say anything else.
I mean, you don't really need data to see some of the stuff that he's done.
Well, but you do to make someone not be able to play.
Well, yeah, that way, yeah. But
so that's where the NFL is actually in a tough spot, which is weird because usually we're bagging on the NFL for just not doing their job. But this time around, it's like, well, it's kind of hard for them to do their job because there isn't significant data that supports a change.
exactly.
And, unfortunately, it's something that you don't find out until years and years later.
I mean, he could be Brett Favre when Brett Favre openly admitted that he had over 200 concussions when he was playing football. And there was one game where he said his concussion was so bad that he had blurred vision. So every time he dropped back in the pocket, all he did was throw the ball up for grabs and hope somebody caught it.
I mean, and you wouldn't have been able to tell the difference because that's how he played football anyway.
Yeah. That's why I didn't want to laugh at it because obviously that's not something you want to laugh about, but it's just like at the same time, I'm like, so you literally played like you had a concussion every week then, because that's all you did is pretty much just go back and fire and chuck the ball up and hope somebody caught it. So I guess.
Well, I mean, if he's saying he had 200 concussions, he had one for half of every game he ever played.
Yeah.
So
it's just like you literally just go back there and it's like, oh, I think there's somebody over there. Let's go.
I mean,
sounds like him.
Yeah, right? Like,
and like I know a lot of people.
Exactly
I know
like
a
how
lot
we
of,
watched it.
Like I know a lot of people don't like Favre now because of the shit that he's done since he's retired, especially with like all the money and stuff like that or whatever. But he was one tough son of a bitch. Like there are not too many.
Sure.
There are not too many NFL quarterbacks and NFL players that could have taken the amount of punishment that he took and just basically would get up and keep playing like it was nothing. Like
he was
one of those.
Played before he was protected. Right?
Well, he was like one of those. He was one of those quarterbacks that would literally be like, when he would get hit really hard, he would literally get up and hit the guy in the back of the head and be like, "Nice hit, do it again." Like all these other quarterbacks get touched and they're looking for the flag. Like Favre would encourage you to come at him and like hit the crap out of him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he played like it was backyard football.
Yeah, like he didn't care how. Like even when the Saints were doing like all those high-low hits on him in the NFC title game, like he would get up and like hit the guy in the back of the head and be like, "Good hit, like hit me again, like good hit, keep it coming."
Yeah. And I don't think Tua is quite to the Antonio Brown action yet, but
he's got to be getting close.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even if he ends up with one or two more, the league probably has to do something.
Because I mean,
I think he's on a one and done now.
I think he's because if you look at Antonio Brown, like Antonio Brown's worst one was the one that Bursa gave him, where he was out cold completely. Like he was hit so hard, like he was out cold before he hit the ground, and then when he hit the ground, he like folded up. Versus like when Tua, Tua gets hit hard enough, like his arms kind of go like this, and his like
Yeah,
body
as soon
goes
as you
into like
see the fingers doing this,
like,
you're like, oh
he
man.
hasn't been like knocked out cold yet. He's been hit hard enough where like his
Well,
body
no, the
has
last
seized-
one.
Well,
The last
yeah,
one-
but like
The last one he was out.
yeah, but when his body seizes up like that, that's like shows you how hard he's been hit. Like he hasn't been hit to the point where his body has completely like folded up like a rag doll yet, though. If
No,
he has
just
a hit
the
like
hands.
like
Just
yeah,
the
if he
hand
has
thing.
if he has a shot like Brown where he's basically out before he hits the ground and then his body just kind of like folds up like a rag doll, then at that point I think the NFL is gonna be like, nope, you're done here.
Yeah, well, I mean, then they have some very sticky situations to figure out,
That's
and
what
it's
I was just thinking
hey.
myself. That
yeah. I
now
mean, all of a sudden,
you got
you're
bigger
yeah,
issue.
you got $130 million you got to figure out.
Yeah. I got to imagine that there's insurance for that.
There's got to be an injury insurance on his contract, especially now knowing that he
So-
had the concussion issue before he signed this extension.
So there is. The team had a $45 million policy if he was injured and required not to play, right? Which is what they would have had to pay him this year, I think, something like that. Which is why, retirement didn't make sense because it would basically get rid of all of his money. Now, if it was dictated to him from the league,
That's
Who knows?
medically retired for different situation. Contract is still in force. He would have to get paid.
exactly. And then that's where the policy would go in for the Dolphins, is they would get that 45 million, which obviously on 129 is, I mean, it's something, right?
Mhm.
But then you also have, what are they going to do with the cap, right? Because they would still be obligated to pay. Does the cap still bury them for the next couple of years, or so there would be a lot to figure out in that scenario.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's a
the
lot.
cap-
And yeah,
the cap still
politics come into
buries.
play.
Yeah, there's a
Yes.
there's a lot to unpack when it comes to just because he is in such a difficult situation for the NFL just because concussions continue to go up in the NFL. Granted, they've actually been down the last couple of years,
Sure.
but it's gotten to the point now where players have the right to wear a guardian cap if they want. You've never actually had really an instance where you're looking at one specific player and you're kind of like, if someone was forced to wear a guardian cap, like this is the person that should be wearing it. And now you have a player in Tua where it's
Exactly.
like everybody watching football from the outside and probably a good chunk of the league that has played with him for all the years they played with him. They're probably thinking the same thing, like, dude, you should be the one that is wearing this right now if you want your career to last longer than it is. So
If there
now
was
the NFL's
ever-
in that tight spot where if everyone can see what the problem is, you want to be able to force him to wear it without physically going to him and say you have to wear this. Like you want to be able to figure out a way to do that.
It makes me wonder why somebody would not want to wear it. And
no, I
I
agree.
thought of a couple of reasons. As a quarterback, I assume there are sometimes people are yelling to you that you want to hear. And if you have this thing now covering over the ear holes and stuff like that, and I got to imagine, even though it's permeable, it's actually deafening some of that.
It muffles a lot of it, yeah, for the quarterback.
Sure.
So now you have that issue where you can't hear
Well,
your
but
own
I mean,
people.
when you think of Derek Carr, though, he actually puts plates over the ear holes anyway to keep the noise out.
Yeah.
So
I hear that. However, that's why Derek Carr doesn't ever really, he can't really ever change the play because he can't ever hear what his people are saying. It's like he relies all on what's going on, and hopefully he's like, I guess he could do check downs or, hey, yeah, Omaha, and then hand the ball off to somebody. But I mean, realistically, it's, my thought on that is that every time you're doing that, you are stopping from hearing your own people.
no, I'm with you there. Could he be a Hall of Famer? I mean, the problem with what you're asking there is the stays healthy part. I just can't see a scenario where he does. I don't think he plays long enough to even be in that conversation.
Yeah, we're talking about Tua, right? That's where that question is. Is
Yeah.
Tua good enough to be in the Hall of Fame? No.
Until physical sports are outlawed. I don't think we're ever going to really get there, but they'll keep tweaking it for sure.
Yeah, up until the point where we actually have robots playing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
I mean, I will say
And then
this,
they murder
though.
all the people, and it won't matter.
I will say this though, and I credit the high school that I coach at for a lot of this. Like we are one of the few high schools in Wisconsin that actually make our players wear the Guardian caps during practice. Like obviously you can't hit as much in high school practices anymore like you used to be able to. Like you're only allowed to have one padded practice a week. And everything else has to be like a non-padded practice just because the injury side of things and like that. But we've actually made like all of our players wear the Guardian caps during practice. But now a large chunk of our actual players are wearing the Guardian caps during the games. Just because they feel safer with it and they're so used to it now just from wearing it at practice that
Sure.
they're more comfortable wearing it.
Well, the league doesn't want it though. Like let's not pretend that they do.
No, I know that. No, I know. I'm just saying like
if the league wanted it, they absolutely would be saying, Tua, you are wearing this.
But that's kind of, I use that as an example because like a lot of people are saying the league doesn't want to force people to wear it versus like on
it's
our
not
end.
that. It's actually not. The league doesn't care about player safety. They've made that abundantly clear. They just don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
No, they don't want to force the Guardian cap because it messes with their uniform. Remember, they will charge you like 15 grand if you wear the wrong cleats. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
They like their uniform to be crisp, clean, and exactly how they want it to look. That Guardian cap doesn't look great, right? At the end of the day, the NFL is the ultimate marketing machine. So they don't want you messing with what their image is. This Guardian cap may be safer, but it messes with the uniform that they take so personally.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to dictate that type of stuff to you until their hand is forced. I just kind of thought that this particular situation might actually do that.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't think so.
So in other NFL news before.
Well, I mean, obviously not, right? Because they're giving him the choice.
So in other NFL news, since we're getting to the bottom of the hour here,
Yep.
What are your what? Yeah, well, yeah, either or however you
We're
want to
getting
cut it.
close to the end.
Yeah.
That's where you were going.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with that. What are your thoughts on the Lions and Raiders coming close to acquiring Max Crosby?
That'd be amazing for the Lions. Scary for the rest of the league.
I mean, you'd
especially
have
next year.
because you'd have Crosby for another 2 years of control. You'd have
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson for another 2 years of control. Well, obviously he's going to get an extension at some point.
Sure.
But theoretically, though, Max Crosby is a Dan Campbell player. Like just the way that Dan Campbell coaches and just kind of like, oh, I'm going to go out there and bite your kneecaps off. That's a Max Crosby because he'll go out there and bite your kneecaps off and just kind of do what the coach tells him to do like that. I would love to see that. As much as I would hate it on my end because I would have to face him twice a year with Aiden Hutchinson twice a year. But those two paired together for like 2 years would be a fun combo to watch.
Yeah.
What are you giving up?
Overloaded side.
The Lions would most likely give up a second and a third. I think they said a second and a third round pick.
Okay.
Jameson Williams, since he's suspended again, anyways, they can move on from Jameson.
Yeah.
They can move on from Jameson Williams.
Why is he suspended?
Performance enhancing. Goods.
Yeah. It was one of the topics I was going to try and hit today, but definitely out of time.
So when did he get suspended?
Monday morning. Yesterday morning, right after the game, actually on Sunday.
Yep.
Oh, great. So I got to take him off my team then.
He's only out 2 games this time instead of 4, so it's not as bad as his last one.
So that's the part that I wanted to get into. We'll have to talk about it tomorrow.
It's not steroids.
I mean, obviously not because it's less time, but still, it makes you wonder why it's only 2 games because it's happened before. Again, something we got to dive in.
Yeah, so the offer that I saw last night when they were talking about it was the Lions 2025 second, their 2025 third, a 2026 7th round pick, and Jameson Williams from Max Crosby.
Like, I actually don't hate that trade.
I don't either because the Raiders don't have any receivers anymore. That Henry Ruggs is hanging out in the longest yard committee and Devontae Adams is with the Jets, so the Raiders need an actual receiver they can build upon. And Jameson Williams has shown when he's on the field that he can be a receiver you can build upon, and he's only
Well,
22.
and they're right back to Minshew because O'Connell made it for half a game before getting hurt.
So, I mean, that's a trade that's a win-win trade for both teams because the Raiders get draft capital.
Yep.
They get not a number one receiver yet, but a guy that you can mold into a number one receiver. The
Sure.
Lions are getting the pass rush that they're missing without Hutchinson, and then you have him anchored with Hutchinson the next 2 years.
Yeah, no, I mean, like it helps the Raiders start their rebuild because they're obviously in one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Lions get to continue on, although they played really well without him.
I don't know. Yeah, they did. They were able to win, but they weren't able to keep them from 29 points. So
That's
exactly.
I mean, God, that'd just be scary for the rest of the NFL though if you put those two together.
No, that defense would be amazing.
and
That being said, if you are watching here on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. And of course, if you are watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. See you all on Wednesday.
later, guys.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on